Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another week of We Loves to See It. I'm Simone and Mimi.
What's up?
And today we have a very special guest, Ginger Banks. I met her at Petite Hermitage. And if you don't know, you'll never know. Anyways, yeah, so Ginger Banks has been involved in the adult entertainment industry for 14 years, right?
Yeah.
14 years. And I read in your bio that it said that your parents cut you off because of your job as an adult performer.
Yeah, my dad and my stepmom and their 2 kids. I haven't really spoken to them.
Wow. But
since then.
But what I noticed when I was asking you to do the episode was that it kind of maybe inspired you to be the advocate that you are for destigmatizing the sex industry world. You know,
when I looked back on it, I was like, that actually is the thing that really pushed me to suddenly become an advocate, because I was like, why the fuck did my parents just stop? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still the same person. And the more I learned about human sexuality and stuff, like, I feel like the less people are comfortable with their own sexuality, the less they want to have me around. And as the more I was becoming more open and outwardly like talking about that, people who have like secrets, deep family secrets and things like that, you know, don't want to have me around. Oh. So without going into detail, that's what I kind of realized later was going on there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, honestly, you know, just in life, I've learned that it's the most vanilla people that do have the most secrets.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that are in the sex work industry, whether they're on OnlyFans, they're camming. I have a lot of friends that are dominatrixes. So I've learned a lot about the sex industry just through them. And where, you know, most people are like, oh, if somebody's a porn star, well, that just must mean they're having orgies all the time. It's not like that at all.
That is a really funny stereotype. And it is true. But I think you're right. They don't see the human side of us. And people who have personal experiences with us obviously do see us as humans. And then other people will rely on stereotypes. And if you've watched any forms of media, like if you've watched like fucking anything written by Tina Fey, she fucking hates sex workers, and she's always making them look like dumbass, like idiots, and reading her books and stuff. And I'm like, what happened to you? Right now?
Right, yeah.
But like, it's when people aren't personally exposed to us, they rely on stereotypes, and that's why I go on things like this. And like, I really love it when sex workers have YouTube channels and all these other things that like just show us as humans.
Right.
That's what we are.
Do you feel that?
We are, yeah, exactly.
Because of like social
media, right? Like, yeah.
I shouldn't have to say it, but
like,
I am a human being.
I'm a person. Yeah.
But that's the thing about objectification, is that it lies in like someone else. Like I'm always a human. I'm always a person, like everyone else is, and it lies with someone else to be like, I'm going to treat you like an object, or I'm going to objectify you. It's not my fault for doing porn
100%.
that someone objectifies me. You know, it's not a transgender person's fault that they're objectified and sexualized in the way that they are. It's that person who is treating them less than human.
100%.
You know, so there's nothing that anyone should ever do that deserves them to be objectified or treated like an object.
100%.
So when people say that to me, I'm like, that's weird. Like, why are you saying that? You're openly admitting that you treat humans like that. It's
exactly. As a grown person though, like lived a life and learned like morals, your moral compass, and also how you're raised, I find.
Yeah.
But when you get old enough, even if you're raised a certain way, you like live your life and live other places to see what's your right and what's your wrong. So I just feel like things that seem so obvious that aren't is concerning. There's a lot of work need to be done, but it's being done, like you said, doing stuff like this and expressing. But I wanted to ask your journey, like what, you know, I think I remember you even saying that you were a little bit more like, not like shy, younger, but a little bit more just kind of like introverted. So how did you cross that to become?
I think doing a lot of inner work, honestly, like it sounds like so fucking LA, cliche, whatever, but like constantly unraveling myself and figuring out why I do what I do. Like the people we were talking about before, they're letting their subconscious run the show. They literally like don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing. And that's something I really like to break down and figure out. And with doing that, like the sexual shame goes away and I become more and more proud of who I am as a person. But I do remember like when I went to college, my first boyfriend asking me to masturbate in front of him. And I was like, like, how fucking dare you? How could you possibly?
Right. Yes.
And look at me now.
Yeah. Like my body's a temple.
You can't do that. Like, and I would masturbate all the fucking time. That was the craziest thing about it, is that that was something that I loved to do all the time.
But that was
constantly.
Yours.
But when he asked me that, I was like, I could never like do that in front of someone. And now like, you know, I go to sex parties. It's It's completely different.
Exactly.
We've done the work.
Yeah, exactly. So how old were you when you first started, exploring the industry, and or who did you connect with? How did that work out?
I was in college. I was like, I guess I was already doing stuff like this for free when I was 18 and 19. My boyfriend in college and I were on Adult Friend Finder, which is kind of like a website to find couples to swing with.
Cute.
So we like had sexy pictures. I was sending sexy pictures to people that we were talking to, And so it kind of just made sense to like transition into doing webcamming, where like I also got my first like webcam in college. And so I would go on there and just get attention from guys and like just like have fun, and people like started offering me money, and I saw the value in it. I was obviously like, and then I made $300 like for this photo shoot of me pretending to be asleep and my boyfriend taking my socks off of my feet.
300, let's go.
And I like my job before that was like at Sonic Drive-In, and a $300 paycheck was literally like a full like week of work, And I was like, oh, okay, well, efficiency, like that's what I'm learning about in school, because I was going to school for engineering. I was like, well, this is the most efficient way to like live my life and spend my time. So I just started webcamming, live webcamming, and then I eventually started doing it in the college library. Cute. Where I got like really big, and like that's when I kind of stopped going to school too, because people were recognizing me. People on 4chan were being like, yeah, she's in my this class, that class. I was like, yeah. So I kept masturbating in the library, but I stopped going to school.
Yeah. I was studying myself.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? Finding myself first,
Yeah.
Where did you go to school?
Arizona State University.
Oh, that's right. That's crazy.
Yeah, ASU.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like a legend now there, though. Like, people will message me. They're like, yeah, we were watching videos of your videos in the library and stuff. But I started off in like the really popular libraries, and then people were making their usernames like Hayden Library, like Noble Library, like the engineering library. And I was like, fuck. But I still wanted to make money, because I just calculated it the other day. I was making $8,000 an hour.
What?
Yeah. So there was like, this was my stick, was like, I would go in there was this like cubicle. It was so big, like you could see underneath, so you could see people's ankles, so I could show that people were around me, but nobody could really see in it.
Okay. So
I would go in there and I would like show them like I'm in the library, and like, tease them and show stuff. And I'd be like, all right, we're going to go into a group show. And they had to pay me $1 a minute, every person.
Let's go.
So there would be like 10,000 people watching me in the free one. And about like 1%, like 140, a little over 1% would go into the group show. So $140 a minute.
Wow.
Times 60 minutes. It was like $8,000 an hour. And the website took half, but still it was $4,000 an hour. I would literally work like 1 hour a month.
And at that age too, that's like millions. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. Before that, I remember going to Mexico and looking at a hotel room that cost $200 a night and being like, wow, I wish.
Yeah, right.
Maybe one day. Like, and then
now I feel like you're always in Mexico.
Yeah, I know. Now I've literally been 14.
Literally, you're always there.
Now I'm going to hotel rooms that are literally like $700 a night. I stayed at one of the last time I was there. But like, it's just interesting how your perspective changes on the amount of money that you're getting. That's why I always have to remind myself, like, what is a minimum wage paycheck, bitch? Fucking get a reality check. Some people like it you get really out of touch if you start making a lot of money.
For sure, I can see that.
So what's your shtick now? I mean, are you going to do you rent?
BB's like, so what?
Do you rent?
What exactly
do you rent like a WeWork cubicle or something?
Yeah, I used to think about doing something like that. Like, I do live in LA. I could create some sort of like, like fantasy like that. Mm-hmm. But no, I still just go in crazy public places and do like stuff. I created a private Snapchat recently, because OnlyFans doesn't allow public stuff, which was like my shtick once I finally transferred to OnlyFans. So the live webcamming sites eventually did ban that, because people started going into public libraries and doing it with like kids running around. And I saw this one video of this one girl being like, can you go back to your mom or something? And I was like,
because I was going to say, you can't see the kid in the video.
No, she literally was like running, and then she like yelled at her, and I was like, this isn't going to be allowed on the website very much longer. So I think it was like 6 or 8 months. Like they let it go for like 6 or 8 months later, but I still like switched it to my house before they like pulled the rug out from underneath me. Because all these girls who like, they made it their shtick. They saw how much money I was making. It became a thing after I started doing it.
So you were safe to say at that time, the innovator of
you're the pioneer.
For sure. I mean, they could see like 10,000 people in my room. No one ever had many people watching them.
That's a lot, especially in the beginning.
Fucking stadium. Now when I type it in, I'm like, Like, what does 10,000 people look like? Because it's kind of like as a number, it doesn't really make sense to you until you see it.
It doesn't even sound realistic. Like, that's insane.
You know.
And so for how many times would you say you did that?
Oh, quite a few times. Like, quite a few times. Like, who knows? 60, 70, 80 times. So eventually someone did try and come and spy on me. Like, I got really popular, but I caught him way before so it was Thanksgiving break. No one was in the library. And I came in and I was trying to make money for my boyfriend's family who was literally about to be homeless. I'm not kidding. They were like looking at homeless fucking shelters. So I go in and the guy sits in the cubicle right in front of me. And I'm like, no, humans, like, they spread themselves out naturally.
For sure.
And so immediately I was like, red flag. So I like don't unpack my shit or do anything. And so I like look over his cubicle and it's like my webcam profile on his laptop.
He's just ready. Front row, more ways than one.
Yes,
what
I
the
know.
fuck are you doing, dude?
Wow. So I'm like, what the fuck? And so I pack up my backpack, go over to him, and I was like, hey, nice to meet you. You're clearly here to see me, right? I was like, fucking asshole. And I like walk and leave. I was just so annoyed because I was like, anyway, so I go home and I have a couple messages from the same account. One of them is like, hey, when are you going to be on the library? Like, when are you going to be on again? Like, you haven't been on in a while. And then the same username is like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like, I just genuinely just wanted to like see you. Like, I didn't even know if it was going to be you. And then it was you. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I'm trying to make all this money today for my boyfriend's family. And I just made him feel really bad. And he's like, I'm sorry. And he left me like a book title and like call number. And I was like, I sent my boyfriend to the library to like go look at it.
You're like, you better find this fuck.
There was $300 in the book.
Okay.
As like an apology.
Okay, got it.
And then he did that a couple times. So it was like his way of saying sorry.
You're like, actually, I make 8,000.
Yeah, I was like, bro. I know. I was like, that is such a nice gesture, but like, bro.
Yeah.
So after that point, I just had my high school or my college boyfriend come and like study by me. Because I was, first of all, I was paying for that guy's fucking shit anyways. So I was like, come and like sit by me. And if anybody's coming in my vicinity, like cough.
Hell yeah.
And so that just like made me get way riskier to the point where I was like getting naked for like
let's go
periods of time.
It's Harry Potter just chilling, you know?
Do you still keep in touch with this boyfriend?
Oh, fuck no. I got married to him. We're technically married right now. And the last thing I said to him.
How did I know this?
Yeah, since 2012. The last thing I said to him was like, I don't want to have any contact with you. I attempted to get divorced twice and fucked up the paperwork the first time. And the second time I'm going to blame it on COVID in the courts because I genuinely like quadruple checked everything. But he convinced me both times not to use a lawyer. So this time I was like, look, we only got married because you wanted to for specific reasons. I don't want to. No, he wanted to fucking get in-state tuition at Arizona State.
Where's he from? Oh,
he lives from like California or something. He's like, so let's get married. And then we didn't even get in-state tuition. And he was so fucking pissed at the college that he went and he fucking destroyed a computer lab.
Whoa. That's a little aggro, dude.
He's fucking psychotic, dude. So we're still married. And the last thing I said to him, sorry, bro, if you're watching this, is... it's your turn to use your time and effort and money to get divorced. What the fuck? Why am I putting in any time or effort to do this when it was your idea?
Right.
And then I was like, and I don't want to talk to you about anything that's not the divorce. And he hasn't said one word to me. Like, he's like, okay. But that was in like October or something. And I haven't heard
wonder if
anything
he
from him.
says to people that he's still married.
Oh God, who knows? He's like the most manipulative person ever. Like, he was literally so fucking abusive. He's like a fucking sadistic person. And when we would talk about our breakup afterwards, he's like, yeah, I would tell people that you broke up with me on my birthday. And I was like, dude, did you tell them that I tried to break up with you for 8 years and you threatened to like turn me into the IRS or like would just like hug me and be like, isn't it crazy that I could just kill you right now?
Whoa.
Just want to put that one in there. I'm like, do you tell that to your coworkers?
Like, if that was a bit, I think that's hilarious. But the fact that it's serious, I'm concerned. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I literally thought he was going to kill me the day I broke up with him.
Wow.
Fucking psycho.
But you got out. She's free.
Now I'm free, bitch.
And he's like in jail. You know what I mean?
No, honestly, it was so crazy. Like, he's a really scary person, but I'm honestly not scared of you. So
let's go, bitch. Let's go.
I like that. The fact that that's what I'm saying on camera, and I have other things that I'm holding in here to be like,
yeah,
don't be crazy. You know what I know.
Yeah. You know what I know.
You know what I know, bitch.
Yeah.
here, I've watched you. I did some research on
Amazing.
you, as in
yeah.
watched other podcasts that you've
do
been
whatever
on.
research you need to do.
And all right,
She's like, let's
go. I got my phone here. But one of the questions that permeates through the sex work industry that men especially, or women probably like Tina Fey, like to ask is, how is your relationship with your father?
With my father.
And while I'm not going to ask you that, I don't think that it's, I don't think that matters when it comes to sex workers. And but I think that that's something like the patriarchy puts on to women. Like, oh, how's your, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that like a lot of stereotypes, and maybe sorry if you're offended, but I'm a fucking sex worker who has daddy issues, so I'm going to say this, is that like a lot of stereotypes, it doesn't apply to everyone, but sometimes there's a little bit of root to truth in it. And I think for me, and I'm just going to speak on my experience, is that I didn't have that close of a relationship with either of my fathers. I had a father and a stepfather. And so when I finally came into like my sexuality and other men started giving me positive attention that I was not getting at home from my father, either father. I had no connection to either of them. I was like, oh, like this is kind of like filling a cup that's been empty my whole life. Right. And I know how to get it by being really fucking sexy. And like, but to the point where I was like, succumbing to stupid ass patriarchal shit. So now I have a much healthier relationship with my sexuality and sex work. And I don't like, if someone tells me that they want me to do something and I don't want to do it, I'm like, fuck no, like that, like absolutely not. But before, that type of mentality of people pleasing and like doing what other people want me to do and stuff, like that's rooted in like nice girlness. It's not necessarily a daddy problem thing.
100%.
And I think that people with daddy issues, like it manifests in a multitude of ways.
Absolutely.
Mine, maybe it could have, but I also always felt pulled and drawn to this industry. Like before, like my whole life, I've been so fucking interested and intrigued by sex that like my last couple jobs that I applied for before I started doing webcamming was Hooters, a sex toy store, and a nude art model. So it's like I was trying to, I feel like I was I wanted to dip my toes into sex work like as hard as I could, like right when it happened. And I'm a fucking smart person. I'm really good at marketing. There's a plenty of other jobs that I could go do, but like the freedom that comes with this.
Yes, I love that.
Like there's stigma, there's obvious societal fucking negative things that go along with sex work. And I feel like I don't have to talk about that all the time. Yep. And I feel like if I ever talk about my job in a positive way, people are like, you're grooming people for doing sex work. And I'm like, what the fuck? They're raised in the same society I am. Right. They see all the fucking absolutely terrible things that are said about sex workers. So for me to say that I have freedom, like the amount of time that I have in freedom and things like that, like I probably didn't even want a relationship with my stepmom or my dad in the first place.
Right,
like
true.
After I went through all this therapy and I was going to cut out all of the people who have really unhealthy behaviors, they probably would have been cut out of my life anyways. So like looking back, hindsight's always 20/20, and like everything happens for a reason is something that is like set. I have that in my house, and I don't think it's like predetermined. Everything happens for a reason. Shit happens, and then I can get a reason out of it. I can get a lesson out of it.
Wow, for sure.
And so like these really hard things that I've gone through in the moment, I'm like, what the fuck? Like my family is disowning me. Like my alcoholism was like at its worst after that happened. Like straight up, I was drinking all the time. But it manifested in me becoming a fucking advocate. Like while that was happening and I wasn't talking to my family, I took a trip to Washington to see some of my other family members on my mother's side. And I was at my first Pride parade, and there was a bunch of sex worker advocates that were part of the Pride parade. And I was like, just started bawling. And I was like, this is exactly what I needed, like right now, like that. I was like, that's what I need to do right now. Like, and so now like my purpose, like it's been something to do with sex, something to do with sex work. And like, I feel very like tapped into that right now, and just like teaching people and like, I don't know, getting people to go like, oh, aha, wow, like things like that.
Well, I also feel that like social media has helped give sex workers a voice, because you think about it in the 90s, all the women did they're just like, okay, they're just hot, they're just hot porn stars or hot cam girls. You didn't know the personality or the behind the scenes
all the time
about that. Or if you did see somebody that was a porn star speaking out, it was always a former porn star that had turned like a born again Christian, and they were on a talk show. But now you get to see like the real lives. And
Totally.
in order to be a successful sex worker, you have to learn how to market yourself too.
That's the biggest part about being successful as a sex worker is because guess what? No one else is going to market for us. It's like what you just said. Unless I go say I fucking hate the porn industry and it's the worst thing that ever happened to earth, I'm not going to get any mainstream press. That's basically, that's just how it goes. If I'm saying like there's a healthy way to navigate this industry, that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear these like, it's the worst thing ever. And like, you know, so you're right. We have to be extremely good at marketing ourselves because no one else is going to do it for us. You know, none of us are going to be in fucking Forbes or Vogue. Like,
Well, what about Chloe Cherry though?
but she had to completely reject. She doesn't even have an OnlyFans, and she's one of the most famous porn stars that's out there right now.
Really?
Chloe, though, she was on a podcast recently, though, where she said that sex work for her was safer than working in the service industry. And Mia Khalifa went on the same podcast later and combated that.
So Chloe Cherry also said that anytime an abuser does anything wrong in the industry, they're immediately blacklisted, which is like the most wrong statement I've ever heard. So her perspective is her perspective. And like, honestly, I get that like certain jobs are like draining and things like that. But she also was saying like, it doesn't feel like sex work is having a detriment to my chances as a career or like my career, but she's not doing it anymore. Like she used to do sex work. That's the whole point is that you have to reject it. She could be making like $50,000, $100,000 a month with an OnlyFans right now. There has to be some reason in like her contract with her management or something that she's choosing not to do that, in my opinion. Just like looking at the situation, I'm like, what the fuck? Like so many of my friends are like obsessed with her. I know they would subscribe to her OnlyFans.
100%.
She doesn't have to be doing porn. She has to be doing exactly what she's doing in her fucking unique artistic meme way because she has such a unique mind, you know? But I think Mia Khalifa has a lot of good points, to be honest with you. And if you her stuff gets like clipped out of context, just like a lot of things that do, you know? And she started off in the industry and with an abusive boyfriend who took advantage of her and like a bunch of like racial fetishes. And he's probably a white dude, like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And so she's going to have her own perspective, you know, which is like legitimate for herself.
For sure. And it's her story to tell. Right?
Yeah. But there, you know, there's things I disagree with Mia Khalifa, and there's a lot of things I disagreed when I listened to that Chloe Cherry interview. Because at first I was like, you know what, Mia Khalifa freaking out. I made a TikTok about this. I was like, she's always freaking out about the porn industry. I was like, let me listen to it. So me and my friend Natalia Starr like listened to that Chloe Cherry interview, and we were like, oh. Like, you know, that might be grooming girls to get into porn industry to say like, there's no abusers in the porn industry. Anytime anyone does anything wrong, they're just removed.
Yeah.
When in reality, James Dean, who is one of the most popular porn stars ever, who was like accused of some horrific things, said to my face, you can do whatever you want in this industry and wait 6 months and they'll welcome you back with open arms.
Wow. And how was your reaction? Just like, first of all,
I was like, can I interview you and get this on camera?
yeah, you're like, can you say that just like that?
Does he still do porn? I remember him.
I don't know.
That's insane.
Yeah, I was like,
you're just like telling me that.
I'm like, you're self-aware, like to another level. That's why I kept wanting to talk to him because I'm like I, as someone who has a lot of empathy to the point where like sometimes I feel like sick, you know, like I like too much empathy. Like it intrigues me how someone's mind can work like that. Like they're like on the other end of the spectrum. So like I need to be intrigued from a distance.
Well,
I think.
Speaking of, you know, James Dean, what do you think about men in the porn industry? Do you think that they're there for the right reasons, or do you think that they're there to?
I think that just like
fucked.
the women in the porn industry, if you add an agent into the mix, the agent's incentive is to make as much money as possible. And a lot of them don't care about what's happening to your body. So in the porn industry, even if a guy's dick is working perfectly fine, their agent will be like, no, take this pill. Like, I don't want a fucking call from the set saying your dick wasn't working.
Oh, wow.
And so they start to build up a tolerance to these pills. Not only that, but like your dick not working is a sign that someone's stressing you out or something bad is happening.
Yes, 100% good point.
Like you should have a mind-body connection. Yes. When your body is telling you, like, it's like, cool, calm down. I think that there's something I need to do. I need to focus in on something. My dick is a sign that I'm not safe and I don't want to fuck right now.
Right, yeah.
So maybe the director should maybe I should create a safer environment and a more comfortable environment for these people. They're like, no, here's a pill. And when that stops working, they have to literally inject their dicks.
Ow.
But this mind-body disconnection, like when you're in disconnection with your own self like that, you're not going to notice your sexual partner's physical cues when they're uncomfortable. Wow. Or you're numbing yourself so much to the point where like you're going to have to get off on like crazier and crazier shit because
For sure.
you have this like just creating that mind-body disconnection is so problematic. And so I noticed those problems existing in certain performers who have been in the industry for a really long time. And I don't know if there's like holistic work you can do to fix that, but my recommendation would be like obviously not to be taking those things.
Right.
Because it gets to
Ideally,
the point where
yeah.
both of those things you build up a tolerance to, and then you have to get a surgery where there's this like implant that they put in that like inflates their dick.
It affects you long term, 100%.
Yeah. So I think that there's plenty of amazing men in this industry, but they do work on themselves. They're creative people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like they're working on like being a holistic whole human who also does sex work.
Right.
And it's not like the only thing that like it's I don't know, their only existence. They're multifaceted humans. Those are the ones that I see being like the healthiest individuals in this industry because there is a healthy, happy way to do this.
Right.
But if you have an agent who's sending you to set and really doesn't care about like your comfortability or the fact that you're attracted to the people that you're having sex with, all of these things, like that's a capitalist problem personally. And like, but that's why OnlyFans is fucking dope. That's why these websites are dope. It's because like it's natural fucking sex, and a lot of the time people aren't having to be like the directors aren't like hurry up, come on, like we only have this, like come on, like
For sure.
that's so great, like I can fake it, I can pretend, you guys can't, like that's in their own regard, like their job is actually like physically harder. Like we have a bigger stigma, I think, outside of it.
Yeah, sure.
But they're like
Absolutely.
the ability to actually stay hard while the director, like
think
one
they-
time this director was like, dude, like let's get out of here, you know, like, and I was like, I literally got a Charlie horse during the scene.
Oh God, that's so uncomfortable.
And I literally just did the rest of the scene because I was too nervous to tell the fucking director to cut.
And like you said, your subconscious too is
Yeah.
probably thinking about that.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
in
not
the
safe.
fucking-
Yeah, that's probably fucking came from that asshole too.
Right.
Wow, I never thought about that.
That's
My body
insane.
like tensed up because he
You're
was
like,
like,
I got somewhere I gotta be.
I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
So just like there's a plethora of healthy and unhealthy individuals in any industry.
Yep.
And this industry, like, come on, there's positives, there's negatives, but like the isolation and the way people treat us, like that was the hardest thing for me. But that was something that I had to work on because there are amazing people out there in every community on earth that will accept you. That's why I go towards like creatives and
sure,
the
yeah.
LGBT community. If you want to be accepted,
Yeah.
Go to
there.
those places. Do you think though that with OnlyFans that sex work is becoming more mainstream and is being more destigmatized?
so the thing with that is that like, I think it's becoming more mainstream. It's becoming destigmatized, like Beyonce, all of those things. But there's like a lot of pushback too. Like I see a lot of pushback on social media with it as well. But like you said, I think the biggest positive is that we all have social media accounts,
Right.
Where we're showing other sides of ourselves and like. But you know what's so funny is Forbes Science, I'm going to put that in fucking heavy quotes right now, released an article yesterday that was like the mental health effects of being an online sex worker or something. And there was some good points, but there was this study that they kept quoting. And one of the things that they said that was evidence of us being sex trafficked is if we advertise our OnlyFans and we show also other content that is not related to like OnlyFans, and like our hobbies and things like that. That's evidence of us being sex trafficked. So if I'm not objectifying myself and I'm not like only posting pictures of me, like sexy pictures, they have determined in this research center that is evidence.
That's
Research
rich.
center. You mean
no,
like
for
Literally,
Forbes.
it's called no, quote. Yeah, no, it's called the Avery Research Center was the research center that they were quoting in this article.
that sounds like a mega church.
100%.
Doesn't
I
it?
didn't actually do I saw another sex work advocate saying that they are one of the like, it's called Fight the New Drug, is another like it looks like science and they make it look like science, but the people who actually do the research are hardcore Christians. And I posted this research, and apparently the people who create the method for the research is not also supposed to be the person who like analyzes it. Those are supposed to be kept separate, because if you think about it, if one person has like a motive for like the methodology for the research, it's going to affect it.
Right.
So you want those to be kept separate. So the same woman who like created the study is also the one who analyzed it. So basically, she started off in her mind being like, sex workers are exploited. They're being trafficked. How can we show that? And she used 55 pieces of data, which is such a small sample size.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
And then I was like, okay, well, what are your qualifications for us being trafficked? Like how do you, it was those fucking ridiculous things.
It sounds so amateur to even see that.
Every time I post a picture of my dog, it's evidence of me being sex trafficked.
Right. And it's like almost saying that if that's the truth, you're okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm living the life. It's just so bizarre. And like for it to be from like a somewhat should be credible source. Forbes, but is insane. It's just like, it almost seems like subliminal messaging. It's just bizarre.
Well, who's paying them to print that?
Yeah. So the dude who wrote it, that's all the thing is like, okay, who wrote it? What's he like? What are his motives? He's like a self-help dude who's like
self-help.
Like come take my like really expensive life coaching class, which if I looked into it, I bet you he has a course on why masturbation is bad for you.
Yeah. Oh my God. He's like chapter 1, only $1,000 an hour.
Oh, an angel dies. A puppy dies every time you touch yourself.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's actually like a funny quote to say, because it's just so.
I follow this guy who's writing a book about like the history of anti-masturbation, and he posts the funniest things. His name's Dr. Sprankle, Sprankle. And he's like a satanist and posts these like anti-masturbation things. It's fucking crazy what people will say to get people to not masturbate though. Like really, I'm genuinely like, I bet you the killing the puppy thing, like it's a joke, but I was probably inspired by something I saw on this fucking page. I'm not kidding.
What a really exhausting life to live. Can you imagine?
I couldn't get through my day without masturbating.
Bitch, I can't fall asleep. I can't wake up.
Exactly. I got
the best sleep of your fucking life.
Well,
dude.
it's like one of those little pink things with like the suction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, no, yeah. I'm so single. Like I get excited to just go home. I'm like, I have a date with myself, and I get excited because I know that I'm gonna get off first and foremost. Because how many times do you like, hang out or like, hook up with anybody and
you don't hook up
and you come. I've gotten used to being like, it's okay if I don't come. It's not a big deal. That was fun. I'm tired now. Like I'm older. Like I'm tired. But then I'm like, oh my God, bitch, I can come automatically no matter what. By my goddamn self.
Way more time.
That is depression at its finest, and I'm fucking cool with it.
Those things are kind of scary though, because during the pandemic, I had my old and trusty magic wand that I took from my divorce that plugged up into the wall. I was using it one Friday night, not
vintage.
Not that kind of plug, but we can go there. I had the magic wand on me. Zzz, the cord broke. Sparks and a puff of smoke flew out. I almost died while masturbating.
God. Wow. See that?
I would have gone viral.
You should be one of those people
I would have gone viral.
Right.
I should have been camming at that moment.
Oh my God.
Maybe I would have had 20,000 people in there.
So what did we learn today, ladies? No plugs.
Yeah, battery operated only.
Plugs. Or just
yourself.
You gotta mix it up every
You gotta mix it up. And also that I feel like that's like you were saying, like the spiritually, like, mind, body, like connect with yourself.
Totally.
This is gonna sound really fucking weird, but you guys have seen Black Swan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know the scene where she's masturbating, and like this is a girl in the movie who is not a very like open. Like she was almost nervous to be. She's in the comfort of her own room by herself, and she was almost nervous to just start going.
Oh my God.
And then when you see in the scene that like it fake shows that her mom is sitting there, that's the whole thing, because it's like you can't just let go. And there's nothing better than just letting go. Like when I was a kid and like I wanted to, I for the first month of masturbating, I would stop before I climax because I was scared.
Yeah, I was like, I shouldn't be doing this.
And then finally I was in the shower. I'll never forget this. And it happened and I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been stopping myself from having.
Did you have one of the shower heads that
vibrated? Like I said, I touched myself because I'm an artist. I like to connect.
Yeah.
Like I want to really feel. And also you need to know what your vagina feels like.
Yeah.
Like, it's the thing that you should do.
That's so funny. I just watched the movie Beau is Afraid. Have you? It's by Joaquin Phoenix and Ari Aster. It's like Midsummer or Hereditary. Have you seen either of those horror movies? Same director. It's like not that scary, but it is. There's kind of a similar message about like mothers and the shame they implant in you, and masturbation. And I don't want to ruin it, but it's fucking insane. It's the craziest movie I've ever seen in my entire life. And I don't know how to explain it to you I don't want to give it away to you, but like,
oh my God, no, I'm going to watch it. I have to
You
now.
have to tell me what you think about like what this mother says to the son about like what happens if he's going to like masturbate or
Oh my God, yeah, it's so
that's
relatable.
all I'll say. It's like fucking insane. And like the storyline, but that's like the whole message is like what this deep anxiety and shame and fear that comes from like a mother who's like super anxious and trying to control you.
Oh, absolutely. I remember being 5 years old and swimming lessons, and I would be in the pool because we had swimming lessons at like this private pool at home, and I would be on that jet, and I was 5 years old, and I would be on that thing. I would be on it, and I remember my mother being like, "Get away from there right now!" And I'd be like,
She knew what you were doing.
Why? Oh.
Yeah, like what's wrong with that? Like, tell your daughter, all right, this is something you need to do in the bath at home.
Yeah,
like there's like a way you can verbalize it to them. I've heard so many stories recently about people like remembering. Like one girl told me how she was like watching this like stripper show, and she was with her mom and dad, and she's like, I want to be that when I grow up. And they were like, what the fuck? And like started screaming at her, and like, what type of shame that like might implant in us, you know? Like I wonder how many, like same thing happened to me. My stepdad thought I was masturbating, was like, what are you doing in there? Like, why the fuck do you care so much, psycho?
Well, there is so much shame with being a woman that is sexual, and you really see that. Like, I'm from a small town. I know you're from a small town. And all of the girls that were screwing in high school were just branded, and treated terribly. And everybody knew about it because it was the only thing to talk about was sex, church, or who's doing meth.
Seriously.
That was it.
Right. It's so on brand. That's so Alabama.
And so Alabama, so anywhere small town USA, you know, no matter if it's East Coast or West Coast. So like for me, I didn't have sex until college because I knew that there would be so much shame involved in that.
Not to be openly sexual. You were smart enough.
And I also never had sex with anybody within a 60-mile radius in my hometown because I was like,
literally, I had boyfriends in high school, and after that, I was like, you guys are. I can't. I can't. Yeah.
That is insane, dude.
because you didn't want to be shamed, and then people are still shamed.
I mean, I'm sure people were talking about me a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're like, love you.
But I'm away from them. And so that's the sad part, is that I didn't have to suffer the shame from my job. My siblings and my family did.
Wow. Wow, that's like a full circle moment.
I was in college. I was out. I was away from it. They were the ones that had to like have my pornos pulled up and like get them randomly sent to them and stuff.
Well, people always want to shame someone else so they're not facing their own demons.
100%. Not one person who did that was a healthy, happy person.
Yeah.
Same thing with like on the internet, you know, like your actions say so much about you.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, like especially with the internet, like there is a Pornhub documentary on Netflix, and I watched it, and with the internet, all this stuff, especially with the MasterCard thing we were talking about, like that's insane how people are not protected.
Yeah.
You know, like there was an underage girl that she was saying she went on a date with somebody, they drugged her, raped her, took a video, posted it. She was trying for months and months to get it taken down, finally gets taken down, then a month later gets put back up. And it kept happening over and over, you know?
I also don't understand, like, they really can't figure out the IP addresses of whoever the fuck was uploading that to Pornhub. Like, that is child porn that they were uploading. So, like, those people who were doing that in their town, presumably, because only people who have a personal fucking vendetta of you are going to keep uploading that same shit over and over and over immediately like that. It's always someone you know that can see you being, like, tortured by it.
And it's like you have so much other stuff that people can look at that's willingly on there. But to do that to, like, this underage, it's like you can't even, you know, it's just insane, like how manipulative the system is if you're not like educated and know, which is why it's good. And I love and respect, and I've noticed that from you since I met you, like you being an advocate, like that is so admirable, because it's like and that's not your job to do, but it is in a way. Does that make sense? Especially for people
No,
that
it feels
are
like
new.
a personal responsibility. Yeah, and that's the thing,
Responsibility.
especially for people that are new. Like I like talking about the mistakes that I've made, and that's why I like talking about agents and the things like that. Like I like talking about this so people can be prepared. The more knowledge you have, the more empowered you are.
Right.
Like the more educated you are, the more empowered you are. And that's why when people try to withhold this information, there's a reason for that. It's so that they can control you better. It's so you're easier to manipulate. You know?
For sure. Yeah, and I think that's amazing. And I feel like you said, especially for people that are interested, but they don't, not to be scared, especially all this different stigmas that happen.
Yeah.
I feel like that what you're doing is so great. And I just want everybody to be engaged with it and stuff. So if you can say your handle or whatever, so they can see, because especially with her TikToks, I think TikTok especially, you should follow Ginger, because that's where she puts a lot of the educational, stuff about what she's gone through personally and what's happening. It's like there's so much depth to you and your following your page, like your marketing, like it's on point. And I don't look at it as you marketing. I look at it you being as an organic, authentic person.
Well, that's the easiest thing to do is that like I use my TikTok to kind of be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to share this information with like a friend. Like my friend would find this so interesting. Like I'm just going to pull out my phone. Like people love like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on a FaceTime with you. Like that vibe.
Right.
So my TikTok is The Ginger Banks. And it actually got me realizing like people appreciated me on a deeper level. It helped me like not objectify myself and realize that I had more to offer than just my sexuality, which is an amazing part of me. And I'm never going to reject that side of myself. But realizing that I have a lot more to offer and seeing all of my videos about me like talking go viral, I'm like, wow. I always wanted to be one of the people whose videos about talking went viral.
Those are the ones that go more.
Like my ass clapping is so impressive. I love it. It's a great talent.
It never gets old. Truly never gets old. No, it is, because it's like you're not even really moving. Like even as a dancer, I see, I'm like, damn, like that, and it's like a good clap. It's not just like it's a fucking clap, dude. So yeah. But that's the thing, and it's so funny because the other videos of you like talking about anything or about your the sex party experiences like that I've seen has been coming up on my feed so much more than what what I mean. So I think that's so impressive, and fucking keep going. I'm inspired by it. I'm so grateful that you were on this episode. Like this was amazing. This
was so much fun.
It was great.
I knew the time was going to go by fast.
Thank you.
I know it did.
Thank you for everything you're doing, because you're not even giving a voice to sex workers. You're giving a voice to all women.
That's what I kind of realized eventually. Like the stigma and the shame, it affects everybody on a certain level. Like if you're not married and having sex and trying to have a kid, that's like pretty much the only kind of socially acceptable sex that we're having. Like is like that anything that falls outside of that is like shamed. And if you it's literally the definition of fascism is like not allowing anything that falls out of this like Christian heteronormative, like anything that falls outside of that, like stigmatizing it and shaming it, like it's part of fascism. And I'm so interested in the connection between that right now, because control. What is a deeper level of control than allowing someone to tell you like you can't masturbate or you can't have sex, especially the masturbation. That blows my mind.
At the end of the day, we're all fucking.
Yeah. We all
even you, George.
One of the only things we had in common.
Even you, Karen.
Yeah, you're fucking Karen. Yourself, though.
Billy.
We all have it in common.
Billy.
We're all fucking.
Yeah.
We all came to life.
That guy over there. Jeff, you fuck.
Hayden's fucking.
So just own it.
Own it.
He fucks.
Own it.
Own it. I hope you guys were inspired by this and enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, Ginger.
Tui loves to see it. Ginger, we like to flick off the camera at the very end.
Let's go.
At the end of the day. Love you guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I love that.
Thank you.